Hello and welcome to this overview of the Talkative Live Dashboard. When you first set up Talkative and you come to the Live Dashboard page here, you're presented with three different dashboards in your menu, and these are in a tab-like format where you can easily flick between them. And to add another dashboard, you just click one of the pre-selected dashboards here. In this case, I'm going to add the agent overview and add that to my tab selection. You can have up to 20 different dashboards, and to create a new dashboard you can just click in here. For the rest of this video I'm going to be using an existing dashboard in a separate company with a lot more data to better show off the visualizations. As you can see, we've got different overviews here of everything within the Talkative application, from queues to customer satisfaction, wait time, and so on. It's worth having a look through and familiarizing yourself with the dashboards that come by default. And if you need to delete any of these dashboards, it's probably easier to just delete from the tabbed view up the top here, but you can actually delete the dashboard if you find it's not appropriate for your company. We can also share different dashboards. So if I copy this dashboard here, it's giving me this URL, and I can share this with a colleague. And depending on the setting of the dashboard, they don't necessarily even need to have a Talkative account to view it. So what we're going to do is edit this existing dashboard. We can create a new dashboard up here, but it's generally easier to edit an existing dashboard. When editing the dashboard, we're taken to this edit page where we can have full control over how the dashboard is created. The dashboard itself is fully customizable and has a hierarchy where we have the overall layout of the page itself, where we can set an increasing number of columns and rows. So in this case, if I want to add in another dashboard widget to the right here, I can add in a couple more columns. In the overall settings here, we can also change whether we want this to be a public dashboard that anyone can view with the URL, or restricted to certain groups in the system, or even certain individuals. So in this case, I'm going to have this as a public dashboard, which means anyone can view it, but equally I could restrict it such that only, in this case, the sales team can view this dashboard. Once you make these changes, they will propagate instantly to other users in the system. Within this main lattice of the dashboard page, we can add in widgets, and within those widgets, we can add in the labels, statistics, graphs, and tables. So to look at this, we're going to click on an existing widget here. So we're going to look at the tags overview section. Within this widget, I can again change the number of columns and rows if I want to resize or change the padding of each of the elements. And if I click into the label and the chart type, each of these again have additional customization options. So we can change the alignment of the label. What I'm going to do is just delete this chart here, and in its place I'm going to add first an image to show how this works. So you just drag and drop the image in and then resize accordingly. You always need to have this widget in place before you add in any of the other elements. If you try just adding it directly, then you'll get a warning telling you to add in a widget first. If we add in a percentage statistic, you can see with each of these charts, tables, and statistics that are added in, there is a lot of customization that can be achieved through all of these different filters. So if we inspect a couple of the current filters, we can see how this works. So with this one up here, we have the average wait time today. So this is firstly a customizable statistic, i.e. a number. It's looking at historical interactions. These can also be real-time or real-time users. We're measuring the acceptance time, but this could also be any of the options we see here. And we are looking at the mean average rather than the minimum or the maximum. If we contrast this to the number below, we can see that aggregation is set to maximum because we're looking at the longest wait time today. So next up we have the filters. This is where you can look for queue-specific filters or looking at whether an interaction has been handled by a chatbot or not, and even looking at things such as was positive feedback given for that interaction. Formatting is simply whether we want to add in a unit of measurement at the end, and if we want to format based on rounding up to minutes or having it hours, minutes, seconds, or just minutes, seconds like we have here. We next have alerts. This is where we want to monitor and look at, are we meeting our SLAs or objectives within the Talkative system. So what we can do is set up visual alerts, and later on we'll show you how you can set up alerts that will send email, SMS, and push notifications. So in this case, we're looking at the average acceptance time of interactions through day to day. Now, what we might want to look at is if this is longer than 3 minutes, we want to have maybe a red alert configuration. And for the sake of this, we're going to change it to, if it's more than 1 minute, we want to have an amber alert. So if we save that, and if we preview the alert, we can see this is how the, in this case, number is going to be shown and changed to amber with this particular real-time data. If we don't like that alert, we can just delete it. And then the final toggle we have is the duration. So this is currently set at day to date, but you might want this over the last 30 minutes or 3 days or whatever it may be. When we're editing the dashboard, we can undo changes if we want to put things back to where they were. And we always need to remember to save. And then when you're saving, you can also save and exit, which will take you to viewing the page. So in this case, we've saved and we've gone back and we can see the change we made there. Let's quickly go through the other display types that we can have on this page. So let's start from the beginning and add in an empty widget, which we're going to resize. And we want to give ourselves 4 rows, and we'll give a label at the top. We're going to put in a customizable chart in here and resize it. We're going to look at the acceptance time, the average acceptance time, and we're going to look at this day to date. You can see we had a spike here, so we're going to add in another element here. So we're going to look at this based on queue. So we can see we had, of our 3 queues today with interactions, this Steve W chat queue had the longest wait time, and we can see a shorter wait time for video and shorter still for Steve's video queue. Let's look at this other chart here. So this is a chart that's been added in. We are looking here for interactions by agent. So here we have an x-axis filter added, which is final user. We can have multiple x-axis filters added. So if we want to look at this based on per 15-minute interval, we can add that in too. That's not the nicest graph, so maybe rather than a bar chart, we can have this as a line chart. And to make this look a bit nicer, we're going to resize our graph here. And then to make it look nicer still, maybe we're just going to look over the last 8 hours. And we have this shown up here. In addition to the charts, we have tables that can be added in. So here we have a table that shows the number of interactions, and we are filtering, or rather the column is splitting this by queue. Again, we can further add further columns here. So if we add in the feature that was used, we can see this further information here. Next up is the queue interaction overview table. This shows us the number of active interactions in each queue. As you can see, no editing options on this particular table. So this is just showing your real-time queue status, how many customers are in each queue, and so on. Feedback comments is similar to the current feedback dashboard that's on the home page. And again, we have 2 columns of positive and negative comments, of which there are none in this overview here. Chat monitoring is another dashboard type which has minimal customization options. We advise that this be a full screen dashboard tab just for itself. And this is one of the default dashboard tabs that come with the system. The only option we can change on this is the URL. So this is if you want to share just this iframe source and embed it into your existing dashboard or website or some other portal. You can also add in any other third-party iframe website in here. So the iframe option, the only option you have here is to change this URL. So if we put in the Talkative website, for example, this is being iframed in here. The final template that can be added is the user overview table. So this is similar to the queue overview table, where we can see all users, and we can in the live dashboard edit their status and filter by user, queue, or specific interactions. Within the dashboard navigation, we can select specific items, and this just gives a full rundown of all the items that have been used in this dashboard, and we can navigate to any of these here. If we look at our user overview table in the live dashboard outside of editing mode, we can see based on the queue, we can see all of the users inside of here. We can see their capacity, i.e. their workload, and we can see their status and how long they've been in that status. If they have active interactions, we can click this button here to look at those interactions and click into them and see more information about that interaction, such as a live transcript. And we can update the status of any agent by clicking on their status, updating it here, and pressing the green tick. We can look for specific users, queues, or interaction with this live filter. If I look for myself, I can see my profile here, and any other agents with that name. You can also choose to filter this queue overview table to only show certain agents or queues. So if we clear this search, we can see there's a lot of agents in here. And maybe I only want to look at online queues and also only online agents. I've now got a shortened list of agents that are available in the system. And further, I can manually specify which queues I want to include. So say if I never want to see this testing queue, I can move it to the left here. You can redo any of these changes made with the reset button down here. At any point in time, we can also time travel and look at previous interactions and look at the dashboard as it was in a previous point in time. So if we go back to last week and we go at 4:30 and press time travel, then you can see exactly what was happening in the dashboard on that day. As it was a weekend over Christmas, everything is blank here. And you can just go back to your current dashboard to return to the present day. We briefly mentioned alerts already. Alerts, as accessed through the dashboard homepage, not only allow you to have the visual alerts that we showed earlier, but we can have email, SMS, and push notifications sent out to you if the system hits a certain threshold that you define here. When we create an alert, we give it a label. So we might call this one average wait time longer than 5 minutes. We fill out our various filters here. So in this case, we've got the defaults of the accepted time, or the average accepted time for all interactions over the last 30 minutes is more than 2 minutes. But if we change that to 5, you can then add in your various alerts here. So we might want to use the same label as the email subject, and the body is the same thing. And then I'm going to put in my email here. And then all you need to do is, if we get rid of these, just press save. And we have our alert. We can also look at existing alerts that have been made. So here I can see Steve's alert is looking at interactions in real time, so live interactions. So when there are any live interactions in Steve's queue, he's got an email notification that's been added in addition to obviously his standard push and mobile app notifications. Finally, announcements are a way for you to send a message to all of your customers en masse. So perhaps if you have an outage or there is some emergency alert, maybe there's been a network failure in your contact center, then you can put in your message here. By default, this will send to all queues, and you can choose to either send to only queued customers, i.e. ones that are not connected to an agent, or you can choose to send to all chats, including ones that have been assigned to an agent. When you press send, this will send a message out. And you get a notification to say how many chat interactions those have been sent to, which in this case is 0.